Hello everyone, and welcome to the Set 10 Masquerade Ghost review and deck list video. In this video we'll go over all the relevant cards, or most of the relevant cards for a Masquerade Ghost deck, and then at the end I will provide a sample deck list that not necessarily is like the best finished form, but you know, at least something you can kind of start with to kind of think of your own brew. If you're here and you just want to see the deck list, just feel free to skip towards the end, but without further ado, let's get into it. One more thing before we begin, I just want to give a quick warning that, you know, the archetype and the cards you play can just vary a little bit, and so I encourage you to do your own testing and play what you prefer. This deck it's kind of in a weird place where it's not like the top tier meta, but it is certainly like a strong deck if you do want to run it. The example deck I show later did get in top 8 of a tournament, so, you know, the potential is there, but personally I think the deck probably still has a little bit more to cook with before we really say it's kind of done. But yeah, let's get into it. First, let's go over the strong or core cards of the deck, you know, the cards you need to just even have the deck run. You have Masquerade Ghost and its Evo, the spell Sincere Soul, Sincere Masquerade Ghost, Ghost Maid and her Evo, Spirit Curator, and Ghost Rider. First up is the Blast from the Past, set 3 Masquerade Ghost and his Evo. He's a 4-cost 4/4 Departed that evolves for 1, and whenever a ghost is put onto the field, give it +1. The Evo still keeps the +1 attack for ghosts, and also says whenever a ghost leaves the field, you can summon a Gargantuan Ghost token in its place. And the last words is you can put the card into the EX area when it, you know, dies and goes to the cemetery. And with it being last words, obviously if it gets banished or something, it doesn't go to, you don't get the last word effect, just as a quick reminder. But due to the new support, you do have to run the old Masquerade Ghost regardless of it being kind of mediocre. And also because Sincere Masquerade Ghost is phrased a little differently, this Masquerade Ghost literally only refers to the ghost tokens and Bakker's Peppy Ghosty, because he is also considered a ghost, just as a friendly reminder. But yeah, so he's needed for the deck, even though he's kind of mid. The next two I have as one because they just basically work off of each other as like a, you know, combo pair, because that's what the whole deck is based around. So starting with Sincere Soul, it's a 4-cost spell that says for 4 you can search your deck for a Masquerade Ghost, summon it, then shuffle it and give it ward. And you can pay 4 during your main phase and banish Sincere Soul from the cemetery. As long as you have a Masquerade Ghost in your EX area, you can summon a Sincere Masquerade Ghost from your evolved deck. Sincere Masquerade Ghost is a 6-cost 5/5 with Storm. On Fanfare, you do get 2 Gargantuan Ghost tokens. Just so everyone knows, I will occasionally reference Gargantuan Ghosts as G-Ghosts, just because I don't feel like saying Gargantuan all the time. But anyways, and then whenever another follower with Ghost in its name is put onto the field, you give it +1 in Rush, which is different than the original Masquerade Ghost, because that one references only Ghost followers, where this one says a follower with the word Ghost in its name. So you kind of got to keep that in your mind as far as which Masquerade Ghost is on the board and what gets affected by what. And then last words, when he dies, you select a regular Masquerade Ghost in the EX area and put it onto the field engaged. I think that's kind of meant to represent it like kind of getting powered back down because he got, you know, beaten. But yeah, so he does get returned back to the field from the EX area. Normally I don't combine these two like this, but obviously they work together to make the whole point of the deck, so I figure just throw them together. So the whole point is, in a perfect world, either assuming you have Sincere Soul in your hand, you play Sincere Soul on turn 5, you would summon the Masquerade Ghost, you pay 1 play point to Evo it, you can swing, but at the very least you're going to ward it at the end of the turn because Sincere Soul gives it ward. Assuming it'll die next turn, it'll go into the EX area, and then on turn 6 you pay 4 for Sincere Soul's effect because the Masquerade Ghost is in the EX area. You banish the Sincere Soul and get the Sincere Masquerade Ghost out of your Evo deck. a lot of moving parts that most decks don't have, so that's why I'm trying to just kind of explain it here. But that's kind of the gist of the deck, and yeah, hopefully you can do it 2, maybe 3 times, but you know, usually people run at least 2 Sincere Masquerade Ghosts, and between the storm damage of the Sincere Masquerade Ghost and then just storm damage of Ghosts in general, you know, hopefully you can kind of finish the game that way. Next up is Ghostmaid. It's a 2-cost 2/2 Departed follower that on Fanfare you summon a ghost token. You can pay 1 to Evo her, and on Evolve you put a ghost token in your EX area, which will be relevant for later. And you also mill the top card of your deck, so a little bit of Necro Charge, which is nice. Keep in mind, Ghostmaid, it has the word ghost in the name, so she will get the +1 attack from Sincere Masquerade Ghost and Rush. But otherwise, you know, she's just kind of there meant to help for the early game and the setup with ghosts in the EX area. So overall, just, you know, solid card for the deck. Up next is Spirit Curator. It's a 2-cost 2/3 Necromancer and not Departed, which is potentially relevant, you know, for the deck, so just kind of keep that in mind. It has a skill of Fanfare. You choose one of the 2. You can put a ghost into your EX area, or the second option is if you do have a follower with a ghost in its name in your EX area, you look at the top 3 cards of your deck and you can reveal an Abysscraft card from among them and add it to your hand, and you put the rest of the bottom of your deck in any order. So basically, if you don't have a ghost in the EX area, you just have to put a ghost in the EX area. But if you do, with, like, you know, Ghostmaid that I mentioned a minute ago, you do get the better benefit of checking top 3 to grab an Abyss card and add it to your hand. So overall, good consistency card for the deck. Next up is Ghost Rider, a 2-cost 2/3 card that says whenever a follower on your field evolves, summon 2 ghost tokens, and you can also act and tap it to select a ghost on your field to give it Bane to just run it into a big follower if need be. Keep in mind, Ghost Rider also has the word ghost in its name, so it will get the Sincere Masquerade Ghost benefits, but not the normal Masquerade Ghost benefits. Next up are the good cards for the deck. These are ones that are usually in the deck, but they're just not as powerful or impactful as the strong/core cards. But starting from the top left, we have Playful Necromancer and her Evo, Soul Conversion, Colossal Grudge, Bacchus Peppy Ghosty and his Evo, Phantom Howl, and Arcus Spirited Manager. Playful Necromancer is first up. It's a 3-cost 3/3 follower that pays 1 to Evo, and on Evolve you get 3 ghost tokens. So if you have either a Masquerade Ghost on the field and you play Playful Necromancer and Evo her, you know, those ghosts all get +1 attack, and so it can basically storm for 6 damage. Personally, I'm kind of mixed on her. I kind of want to play test with and without her to see if she's really needed. The deck at the end does have her, but at the same time, I can see arguments why you wouldn't run her. And what is a little unfortunate is the only printing of her is the starter decks. So you'll have to, if you do want her, you'll have to kind of find those online or buy singles online. Next up is Soul Conversion. It's a 1-cost spell with Quick, and it says select a follower on your field, destroy it, and draw 2. You can basically, the idea being you can just sacrifice a ghost to draw 2. I have 2 different printing versions here just to show people that, you know, there are 2 different arts. The left one was the original printed art, and the right one is from a Showdown 2025 as a promo. They're both the same card, but, you know, if you're not familiar with the right art, it just might throw you off if someone plays it and you're just like, wait, that's not Soul Conversion, that's way too, you know, rainbow and dark. Next is Colossal Grudge. It's a 4-cost spell. However, the cost is 3 less to play if you have a follower with Ghost in its name in your EX area. You can select an enemy follower on the field, deal 4 damage to it and 2 damage to its leader. So by this point, you're probably noticing a lot of the cards say you get extra benefits if you have a Ghost in the EX area, and that's kind of what's used to delineate Masquerade Ghost cards from other Departed Abysscraft cards. So whenever you see that, just kind of assume it probably is meant to work with Masquerade Ghost. Especially in the future as you read, you know, new cards. Next up is Bacchus Peppy Ghosty. It's a 1-cost 1/1 follower that on Fanfare, if you have a Gargantuan Ghost on your field, you get to draw a card, and he is also considered a ghost. You can evolve him for 1, and he still keeps, the ability to say he's a ghost, but on last words, he just goes into the owner's EX area. So because he does have the word ghost in his name, he does help when he gets into the EX area with all the other benefits of like Colossal Grudge or, Spirit Curator. So that's why you mainly run him. But also you can evolve him early on with a Ghost Raider on board to get 2 more free ghosts for free. So, a little bit of synergy there and whatnot. And Gargantuan ghosts are at least more prevalent now that we have Sincere Masquerade ghosts. So the extra draw is not bad either. Next is another old card, originally printed in set 1, called Phantom Howl. It's a 3-cost spell that says you get to summon 4 ghost tokens, and the ghost tokens, just as a friendly reminder, are 1-cost 1/1 followers that die at the end of your turn, but they also have Storm, so you can just get some nice quick little chip damage in. But Phantom Howl is great for several reasons. Between if you have Masquerade Ghost on the board and you play Phantom Howl, you get 4 Gargantuan ghosts at the end of the turn when all the normal ghosts die. But Phantom Howl also just works because there's a handful of cards that you'll run between the Masquerade Ghost and one more card we'll get to in a minute that gives the ghost +1 attack. So it's potential to either deal 4 damage to an opponent or up to 8, which is pretty quick and terrifying. So just a really good utility card, just really dependent on whether you have Masquerade Ghost or you just have other buff spells. It's just very helpful. Next up is Arcus Spirited Manager. I just wanted to show the different printings of the card because he does have a U rarity. So just, so you're just familiar with the different kind of art styles of him. But anyways, he's a 2-cost 5/5 follower, which is pretty well statted. However, he can't attack enemies, and that means both enemy followers on the field and the enemy leader. So just for clarification. However, at the start of your main phase, if you have Necrocharge 10, which means you have 10 or more cards in your cemetery, you just get a free ghost token, and he has an act that you can trigger once per turn that says you can bury another follower other than himself, and you can choose one of the following 3 abilities. You can draw a card, you can summon 2 ghost tokens, or you can bury the top 2 cards of your deck. So he's good free ghost token advantage. He's cheap. He's like a pseudo spell, being 5 defense. He can't attack like a normal follower could, but because he's always standing, it's harder to hit him. With the 5 defense, usually the opponent has to use a decent amount of removal to actually get rid of him. And between the 3 effects with Arcus in this deck, you're probably going to either do the draw a card or summon 2 ghosts. The bury the top 2 cards of your deck isn't as relevant, but I suppose if you do need to get Necrocharge 10, you can. But Necrocharge isn't super high priority for this deck in general. All right, next up are the more niche cards. These are ones that can be commonly played, but depending on what you're fighting against or what you want to do with the deck, you might kind of prefer some over others. But anyways, starting from the top left again, we have Last Daylight, Zealot of Lust, Hellblaze Demon, and Tartman. And then we have Tartarus the Tormentor and his Evo, Whispers of a Dream, and Necro Carnival. Next up is Last Daylight, but it also does have a promo version called Sweet Sentiments, which you can see the actual name Last Daylight is above that, so they are the same card. So between the 2 of them, you can only have up to 3 copies in the deck. But anyways, Last Daylight is a 2-cost spell that says select an enemy follower on the field, deal it 3, and give 1 attack to each follower on your field that costs 1 or less. Which works really well with Phantom Howl that I was mentioning. That was one of the this is one of the cards I was referencing when I mentioned Phantom Howl. Having all the ghosts on the board, you could just easily swing for 8 damage, which is quite a bit. And if the game is very close, they could just close out the game. If you have Masquerade Ghost with a couple ghosts on the board and you play Last Daylight, then that's, they have 3 attack total. One thing to mention as well, which I almost forgot, is the Gargantuan Ghosts, funny enough, are also 1-cost followers. So if you play this with a Sincere Masquerade Ghost where they already have 1 more attack, and they're 4 3s from the Sincere Masquerade Ghost, then they're 5 3s. So basically, almost anything that runs into them is more than likely going to die. So pretty strong card. Next up is the Zealot of Lust, which this one might seem like a weird card, but just bear with me. It's a 2-cost 3/2 follower that says act, give your leader -1 life, and you can select an enemy follower on the field and deal it 1 damage, and you can activate this ability twice per turn. So this one's pretty good because there are a decent amount of cards that tend to survive with like 1 or 2 defense after swinging, but also it just helps with just kind of good board control, especially early on when your followers are just kind of very and the 3 damage is nice on Zealot of Lust with like a lot of the 3-cost 4/4 followers. Gets them down to 1 defense, which then you could always like rush a ghost into it, so it has some utility being potentially used in the deck. Next up is Hellblaze Demon. It's a 2-cost 2/3 follower that on fanfare you can discard a card, put the top card of your deck into your EX area, and if it's a follower, give it +1/+1. With the discard card being a colon, it means it's a cost, so it is optional to pay it. You don't have to. But the point of the Hellblaze Demon is that you're able to hopefully either cycle your hand a little bit, because the EX area is basically an open hand, or you're able to get a ghost in the EX area easily because you do run, a decent amount of cards that say the word ghost in them. So yeah, that's kind of the general plan with it. Tartman is up next. It's a 4-cost 4/4 follower that on summon you can search your deck for any card, add it to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. So the idea being is you probably want to try to get Sincere Soul, or if you have Sincere Soul, just whatever else you think that might be an answer. And Tartman also comes with a U rarity called Ms. Tartman. It's the same card, but just different art, and again, can just kind of throw people off if you're just not used to the fancier art. So I just figured throw it up here for people to show. I'm kind of mixed with this. The unfortunate thing with Tartman is 4 cost is pretty expensive, and it doesn't even get something like Rush where you can at least like try to clear a follower, so it feels like you're kind of losing tempo playing it. Also, the card you grab, you don't actually need to tell or show your opponent what you grab. As long as you're just grabbing a card from the deck, you can just put it face down and not tell your opponent what it is and just put it to your hand. We're getting towards the end, but next is Tartarus the Tormentor. It's a 10-cost 7/7 follower, and his first effect is he costs 5 less to play. If you have at least 15 departed cards in your cemetery, you can evo him for 1, and if you have him in hand, you can pay 1 play point, put him from your hand into your EX area, look at the top 2 cards of your deck. You may reveal a departed card from among them and add it to your hand, and then bury the other card. On evolve, he can select a departed follower in the cemetery and summon it, but really with Tartarus in Masquerade Ghost decks, you're really not running the evo because there's not a real good target to grab back with the evo effect. You're mainly running Tartarus just for the from hand ability of paying 1 play point to check the top 2 to grab a departed card, because it's a departed card, not a departed follower, so you could grab things like Sincere Soul if you're still looking for it and that kind of thing. You could potentially run enough departeds to reduce his cost, but like I said, it's kind of pointless because there's not a lot of great departed followers to summon back, but hey, if push comes to shove, I suppose you could. Next up is a Abysscraft Classic, Whispers of a Dream. It's a 2-cost spell that at quick you can select an enemy follower that costs 3 or less on the field, destroy it, and mill the top card of your deck. This is a good card right now, especially for decks like Dirt Rune and Vampires, where you have 3 cost or less followers that evo for 1 or more play points with big stats. Mainly looking at like Vanya's and Sarah Dwin, and what is the other one? Riley, Hydro Shaman. So Whispers kind of hits all those for being a cheap cost card. So certainly kind of keep that in the back of your head while you're deck building. And the last card is Necro Carnival. It's a 3-cost spell that says choose one of the following, but if you have Necrocharge 10, you can do up to 2 instead. The first effect is you select a follower that costs 2 play points or less in your cemetery and put it onto the field, and then the second effect is summoning 2 ghost tokens. So the good options to summon back with Necro Carnival would be things like Arcus Spirited Manager, or Ghost Rider, or the Ghost Maid, those kind of things that kind of are the support pieces for Masquerade Ghost. You're not going to get, you know, Masquerade Ghost or Sincere Masquerade Ghost with this, but it's kind of like a tiny Death's Breath essentially for the deck. It's a little expensive at 3, but it does synergize well with it. It synergizes with the deck well enough that it's certainly something you could look at to run. So here's the sample deck list that, you know, is probably a good spot that you can start out with. You have 3 Bacchus Peppy Ghosty, 2 Soul Conversion, 3 Hellblaze Demon, 3 Ghost Rider, 3 Zealot of Lust, 3 Arcus Spirited Manager, 2 Ghost Maid, 3 Spirit Curators, 3 Last Daylights, 3 Phantom Howls, 3 Playful Necromancers, 3 Sincere Soul, 3 Colossal Grudge, and 3 Masquerade Ghost, with the Evo deck having 2 Bacchus Peppy Ghosties, 1 Ghost Maid, 2 Playful Necromancers, 3 Masquerade Ghosts, and 2 Sincere Masquerade Ghosts. I figured this would probably be a good starting point for a lot of people because, according to what I found out, this deck came in top 8 at a Grand Prix 2024 in Tokyo, and there was 527 teams, so, you know, pretty good sample size. So, you know, if there was anywhere to start, I suppose you could start with a top 8 deck. And that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and if you like the content, if you like the discussion, feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you think I missed a card or some kind of mechanic or something, please let me know. But otherwise, have a great day.